Hello and welcome to This Week of the Movies. I'm Matt.
And I'm Eric.
Did you miss us? One of
I
us
know, right?
decided to move from Colorado to Texas and thought would still maintain free time. One of us was really wrong about that. But we are back to play catch up. We have seen movies.
Real quick about that. I moved 40 minutes and I took 4 months off. And
I it's been a it's been something, part of it, we would have been here my first Sunday night, because I didn't have a lot of things going on except for, one of us did not realize, what the internet situation was gonna be like and the delays,
yeah,
uh, to get my G Fiber equipment, but we are up and going, the internet abounds, and we have plenty of films to talk about, starting with an interesting one to wrap up the summer, and that is The End of Oak Street. It has been a huge year for Anne Hathaway. She started popping up in Mother Mary in April, then had Devil Wears Prada 2. She was in a little film you may have heard of called The Odyssey, and now her fourth feature film of the year, The End of Oak Street, which is a film that comes from writer-director David Robert Mitchell. You may remember him from the It Follows DVD that popped up over on the far right-hand side there. That movie came out in 2014, kind of did something new and interesting with the horror genre. He's trying to do something new and interesting. And, I had to say, you're holding up his two movies. One of them is good, not the one you're holding right now, but
I disagree hard.
but The End of Oak Street, set in 1982, and then a lot further back than that. It is a fun family story. It is a fun dinosaur story. Flippantly on Letterboxd, I said it was the best Jurassic Park sequel we've gotten in years. But that is kind of the vibe. If you've seen the trailer, you know what is a little bit of what the story is. But I thought it had a lot of emotional depths. I really enjoyed Ewan McGregor and Anne Hathaway. How did this film work for you?
First of all, if you're watching this, it's always bad to tell people to just stop watching you. But what you just said perfectly gives enough of a pitch on why you should see the movie. Now stop, because I'm going to talk about how I went in so underprepared for this movie and it was such a weird ride, and I'm going to talk spoilers. Go see The End of Oak Street. If you don't want to watch it in theaters, you'll miss some interesting stuff that they do where I can't tell if they added a film look digitally, like a 16 millimeter thing, or if they shot it on film, but they definitely had to digitally process a bunch of stuff. But there are flecks and things all over the screen, even though it's digital projection. There's also, they've done this thing with Dune and the Batman where they shoot the movie digitally, but they print it on film and then scan the film reel so they get that look in the movie like it was shot on film. I don't know what they did here, but that kind of detail is something you might miss at home. So if you care enough about that kind of thing, go see it in theaters for the vibes. Now, had a thought on the way driving to the movie. I was like, now hang on a second. The director of this movie did these. Both of these movies are really, really weird. Okay? And it's funny because I started watching the movie and stuff started to click. Like in It Follows, one of my friends pointed out, like halfway through the movie, like, what the hell year is it in this movie?
Mm.
Because they're like listening to the radio and then someone's got like a clamshell, not real cell phone device.
Well, it
And
is an
then
older looking car.
it's an older looking car. But
I
here,
wouldn't have known what year we were in The End of Oak Street, except for when they
yes,
come back,
they
because you
bluntly
could have
tell
sold
you.
me on 70s, but there was some like TV reference or something where I was like, well, it's gotta be 80s. So it makes sense that
Yeah.
it's just into the 80s.
Well, so that this kind of sums up my whole vibe with the movie. At first, I was like, is he just being quirky and doing whatever he wants? And then it kind of hit me halfway through the movie. We're so used to stuff like Stranger Things trying to show the most popular stuff from the 80s to date it. He's thinking in the 80s, families would have stuff from the past. You're gonna wear 70s clothes because
Yeah.
that's what you have. Like that's what passes down, and you like buy it at Goodwill. You're gonna have a 50s TV,
And
you
that
know?
and you're probably gonna have a car that's from the
Yeah,
end of the '70s because you
you're not
especially
gonna
they
have a
were
brand new
supposed to
car.
be kind of middle class, but also, a little bit poor. It was
Yeah,
I remembered what it was. It's the son, he's like, "I wanna watch MTV," and I was like, "Okay, well, that can't be '70s."
yeah, it
But
has to be.
MTV, I was like, I can't remember when it was founded. It was, like, end of summer 1981, so it'd been around for, like, about a year,
A
but it
year.
made sense. They finally have one lady, and she's like, "It is July 11th,
1980.
1982." Also, they were having an end of summer block party, and when she said it's July, I'm like, or in early July at that, I'm like, that is not end of summer. Maybe it was
It's
supposed to
nowhere
be a
near the end of summer.
summer block party. Yeah. Well, they
Whatever.
were talking about school starting soon. Like,
So
what
yeah,
year-round school are you going to?
yeah. So I'm watching the movie realizing this has been sold to me as indie director produced by J.J. Abrams breaking into a big franchise film. There were dinosaurs, right? But I didn't like I'm watching it. I'm like, man, Anne Hathaway, one queen of the movie. Like she's spectacular. But she is playing it dead serious. She's playing it super straight. Meanwhile, Ewan McGregor has one of the most obvious wigs I've seen in a movie all decade, and is like, "Golly gee, guys, what are we doing here?" Like he's playing it like Disney Dad.
Well, but see, that was supposed to I think that was an
Yes,
intentional character thing because when you get
yes,
into it, you realize one of the things that rankles her is that no matter the situation, he tries to maintain like a constant positivity. I was thrown off like the tennis shoes and the socks and the weird too high shorts. I mean, they are
yes.
definitely emblematic of the period, but you're just watching this dude wander around, and I'm like, bro.
And so that's the thing is all the family setup. I'm like, what are we doing? Because we're setting up stuff that's obviously going to pay off later, but dinosaurs are going to show up. So like, how's it going to pay off? And then, like you said, like that stuff starts, but you see as the movie goes along, like what's going on, and then the dinosaurs came, and then they started ripping people apart, and I was like, oh, R-rated Jurassic Park. Oh, uh-oh. Like, and then, and then, no, I'm not even gonna say it because I don't want to spoil it. And then somebody dies. And I was like,
Yeah,
they
that
didn't
was
do the
unexpected.
yeah, they didn't do like the generic, like from that point on, I couldn't trust anything that was happening. So there's a point where everyone has to jump off a roof and they have to time it right. And I'm like, someone's gonna get hurt, someone's gonna die, something's happening, and it happens like immediately, and I was like, and like it's so funny because the movie like at first all these things are happening and I'm like, oh no, am I gonna not like this? And then for like the second half of the movie it just became unbelievably awesome. Like, and then after you think it's not going to pay off something, it pays it off in the most interesting way. Like there's like a thing, like you're looking at an 80s movie, so you're looking at the son who is the boy who either has a twin or played twins in The Monkey from last year.
Mm.
Um and like his acting I'm like a little on, but he was playing pretty much your 80s kid family Jurassic Park character. And so he sees this girl and they set up that he's like attracted to this girl. And so what happens? The girl down the block, the boy comes and saves them, something like that happens. No, no. They save the girl, but then it just goes in a completely different direction. And then it doesn't even lean on that very hard. It's just like, nah, that she has like she's interested in this other person. And it's like, oh, okay. And then it just is like, yeah, let's move on. Um, I was just so surprised, and I'm so happy because now this dude has done like horror, weird idea, kind of like obvious allegory for STDs, but there's a little more to it than that. And he just like, I'm gonna make my own thing, and there's really nothing quite like it, even though there are a few ideas that you could tell obviously would inspire this kind of thing. Um, Oh, actually, at the time, not even really, because I'm thinking of other movies that borrow from this. There's a lot of horror movies since then who have done the thing jumps from person to person. But like The Ring, like there's clearly, whatever. Under the Silver Lake, don't don't listen to Matt. Don't listen to Matt. See Under the Silver Lake. You'll hate it. It'll be awesome.
I mean, one part of that is correct.
The end of Seven, I agree with the first part. um, Andrew Garfield playing a reckless, he's incredible. But here's the thing: this is
It
neo
was just
noir.
weird, I guess. I mean, you are right. Like he's doing his own thing. I don't know what I thought Under the Silver Lake was. It just didn't work for me.
Well, that's what I figured out about the end of Oak Street. Is it's one of those movies that they didn't know how to sell it, so they just sold it as Jurassic Park with J.J. Abrams as the producer, and then we got this totally like kind of indie personal. Okay.
But they sell it as kind of a family drama, and the dinosaur part, I'm going to say about the end of Oak Street, which I'm giving it a thumbs up. I enjoyed it. I'm going to say the end of Oak Street, the part that really resonated with me wasn't necessarily the action or I thought it was interesting going back in time. They do attempt to explain what happened, and early on you get some references to Carl Sagan that, are going to be swinging around. I thought the kids, Christian Convery and Maisie Stella, were both good and had to do a lot too. But I was really invested. When you start out at the beginning and you have like this husband-wife tension and they're sniping at each other, I'm like, how much do I need to care about this? We're about to go on a dinosaur adventure. Well, you know what? It turns out you were on a husband and wife adventure that happened to include a few dinosaurs along the way. And the emotional moments that you build to when that surprising act happens, when they're in the past, and then the incredible closing sequence and the choice. Yes. And I don't want to ruin anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I teared up.
Yeah.
And for me, that's always worth at least like half a star. So I was already probably on the 3.5. I'm enjoying this ride. And then when you found like a beautiful, emotional, it is a story about a couple finding their way back to each other. That is ultimately what it is. And that sounds weird. And I think the people that haven't liked it are like, what the hell is this family drama in the middle of my dinosaur story? Whereas I was like, oh, cool, we got some dinosaurs to add some stakes to. And I liked the choice of how they rendered those dinosaurs. And it was a very different kind of way. I like the choice of how they rendered this neighborhood and how some of the things happened. But the ending I thought was beautiful and the emotional resonance. But if you're not bought in to this family, and that's why they spend so much, the first 15 minutes is very quiet. You might be thinking you're watching like a coming of age story at points where you're kind of investing in these kids and their drama, or you think you're watching The Ice Storm or something that's about a family drama in the 70s. And that is still kind of what it is and what it plays into. And they're very different personalities. I thought it was interesting the way that they built, all those things and their struggles. And that was the part that really sold it for me. And I'm being a little harsh about Under the Silver Lake. There are some things I just thought that one was a little weirder than I expected. And somebody told me it was like a detective story, and I guess, but it might be the same if you don't buy into the premise. I think that movie is emblematic of Andrew Garfield's entire career. I think he's a good actor, but his projects, and if you look at his filmography, you're like, that's not a list of bangers.
Yeah.
He is great as Peter Parker, but those are pretty much easily the most trash Spider-Man movies, aside from when he gets some redemption in No Way Home. But he's not the reason No Way Home is a 4.5-star classic.
Yeah.
On paper, like you're telling me Andrew Garfield, Emma Stone, you got Sally Field, you got Martin Sheen, Jamie Foxx. That should be an all-time banger, and yet it is almost unwatchable. And that's been him like in a lot of things. It's like, oh, Andrew Garfield, he's always a great, reliable performer. And his movies always leave me feeling like I should have watched another movie.
Yeah, okay, so fair. We Live in Time, the one with Florence Pugh.
That's another one. It should have been a banger. He and
I
Florence Pugh.
loved it.
I didn't hate it, but it doesn't quite
We should do an Andrew
get to
Garfield
where
episode because that would be really fun. Because you'd be like, I'd be like, and Andrew Garfield saves every movie, and you'd be like, no, the movie has flaws. Damn it! Like,
but it's not. I will say it's. I never really think it's because of him.
no, that's what I'm
You
saying.
know,
I think he's like,
and sometimes the movies, rise above. I know people have mixed feelings when he played Jim Baker in The Eyes of Tammy Faye, but that movie is almost entirely about Jessica Chastain, and that manages to work for me. But like Tick Tick Boom, I wanted to like it, doesn't quite get there for me. We Live in Time, I wanted to like it, doesn't quite get there for me. After the Hunt, he's a great actor. That was a great cast, and that movie, I'm like, WTF is going?
Wait, is that the Luca Guadagnino one?
Like yeah. Silence, he's in that Martin Scorsese movie, and there are parts of it that I really like, but it doesn't quite come together. I guess probably I'm looking back. I think the highest score Ridge. I have for him is Hacksaw Ridge.
Hacksaw Ridge,
yeah, Hacksaw Ridge.
Yeah. That's.
But he's like in Lions for Lambs, another movie that on paper should have been spectacular. It doesn't quite come together. I mean, The Social Network. I forgot he's in The Social Network. And
yeah.
And that movie,
but oddly weird enough, even though The Social Network might technically be like not my favorite, but his best movie, it's really not because
it's not, and he's not a huge part. Yeah, it will be. Maybe we should do the Andrew Garfield episode because there's none of his movies are unwatchable, but I always feel like there is a certain element of underwhelm. With The Silver Lake, I was looking back. It looks like I gave it like 4 or 5 stars, so I didn't underwhelm it. Even It Follows, I thought the premise was great, and it made Micah Monroe our queen we've waited. Although there was a long desert period, and then she hit long legs, and you're like, hey, I knew it. She still had it in her. But she and Andrew Garfield, maybe they both give good performances, but they make some weird choices.
I don't know. I trust both of them. Like the movies are.
I know, but
100% flawed. But like, I can't wait for Victorian Psycho. Like it does. There's a lot of red flags on why that movie should not work. But I'm gonna watch it because I trust her. Like,
well, so David Robert Mitchell, It Follows is now 2014. I forgot it was so long ago. That's 12 years. Under the Silver Lake, I think was 18 or 19. Yeah.
2019. Well, technically 2019 because it did the whole festival circuit, never got a wide release thing. So it was like 2018. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was a gap. Now this is an even larger gap. It seems like this has been received pretty well. It seems like a lot of people enjoy it. I know Sean Fennessy, who I love as a film critic, gave it a heart on Letterboxd. I haven't gotten to hear him talk about it, but that must mean that he enjoyed it. I thought it looked interesting based on the concept, and it was one I was tracking, but it ended up being experientially, I thought, better than what I was expecting. But let's hope it, took him 5 years between first and second, took him 7 between second and third. So I guess in 9 years.
Let's kick it up. Everybody go give money to End of Oak Street. Let's see what other weird crap he comes up with in some new
9
genre.
years, when I'm on the cusp of reaching a senior discount, David Mitchell make another movie.
And then when that movie's not your thing, you can be like, all right, well, at least the next one I get the senior discount.
There you go.
So cool.
All right, we're going to talk about some other movies that came out in August. I've seen a couple of other things I'm going to touch on quickly, and then you have one that you wanted to touch
on. Yeah, kind of. Give me a card while you do your movies.
Oh, yes. A musical is caused by a traffic jam.
Oh, I know. Okay. Yep. Go ahead.
All right, another one that opened in limited release at the early part of the month that is expanding to more theaters this weekend and then even more theaters the next weekend is Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma. This is the latest from Jane Schoenbrunn, who is the director behind We're All Going to the State. Is it We're All Going to the State Fair or the World Fair? We're All Going to the World Fair. This is what happens when you don't look at titles. That was her first. We're All Going to the World's Fair. And then more recently, I saw the TV Glow in 2024. This is another kind of interesting horror film. This one played well at festivals. Now is going out, getting a little bit of a wide release. This one focuses on a young filmmaker played by Hannah Einbinder, who is handed the keys to reboot a popular horror franchise that's been around for a long time. Think kind of a Friday the 13th-esque experience. It's called Camp Miasma. It's built around a iconic serial killer in the film Little Death, which in the film is brought to life by the actor Jack Haven, who was also in I Saw the TV Glow. But she goes to have a meeting with the original Scream Queen from the first Camp Miasma film, Billy, played by Gillian Anderson, who ironically bought the secluded campground where the first film was shot, and that's where she lives and calls home. They have a bit of a strange experience and time together. Becomes a little metaphorical. I would argue this is probably one of her more straightforward films if you've seen the other ones, but that still doesn't mean it is a straightforward narrative. There are some beautiful shots. Einbinder and Gillian Anderson give great performances. I'm just going to go out and admit that I have not connected with Schoenbrunn's previous films. It's not exactly my style. I respect the craft. I respect everything that's going into it. Still a little bit the case here. I am giving this one a mild thumbs up. I didn't dislike it. I thought it was creative.
Wait, we're adding that to the rotation. We've got this and this. Now we've got this.
Yeah, well, it's like a mild thumbs up.
We can do 2 3/4 thumbs up.
Like it was a mild thumbs up. I mean,
yeah,
I've done that before. You know, I think people will like it. I think fans of her and the horror genre may like it a little more than me. There was some very creative like kill sequences, but there is a lot of like allegory and things going on here, and that'll either connect for you or it won't. There's a lot of surrealist things in here. That was definitely the case with I Saw the TV Glow, that bent your perceptions of time and reality and what all was happening in the interactions between the characters. Some people have loved this. You know, I've seen a lot of 4.5, 5 stars. I'm just not there. I gave it 3. I respect the craft. I thought it was interesting. It's well done for what it is, but it wasn't necessarily my bag. I know you're excited to see it, and I think you'll probably like it more than me. Did you like I Saw the TV Glow?
I didn't know that was the same director. That's why I just kind of outburst like, whoa. I Saw the TV Glow. I have a lot of complicated feelings about it. And Will, the guy that I do the High Contrast podcast with, had a really personal experience that resonated with some of the stuff that she's doing. And that's the thing about directors like her that pop up. And I would say also David Robert Mitchell. He made kind of more of a commercial film this time. And sometimes they have to do that. But sometimes, every once in a while, a filmmaker comes out that makes a movie that's not really necessarily about trying to be entertaining or not. It's about trying to strip away the language that is used to talk about issues like transgender and things like that, and invoke like images that kind of bring a different understanding to different people's personal experiences. And so I Saw the TV Glow. I don't even know if I could rate it like good or bad or whatever, but I just like it felt like art, you know, like, and that's not really saying much because all movies are technically art. So it's just when I hear that someone with that kind of creativity is making a project, it just is like, okay, then I'm gonna get something special in some way. So yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's certainly the case here, and she's definitely making um, I would say commentary about life and sexuality and all those things as well. And that's where, I think it's going to hit for different people differently. And I appreciate what they were doing. I appreciated the craft, and there were a lot of things that I liked about the production and the performances. It just wasn't my favorite story, and I guess that's kind of where sometimes it either hits for you or it doesn't.
Yeah.
In that sense, and this one didn't quite hit for me the way that I think it will probably hit for some other people.
Sure.
I assume you got your, or you think you got it. Yep, that is
Yeah.
it.
La La Land. Like, yeah. What's the hint that they were gonna give? Was it like super obvious?
In Hollywood.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Well, some of them are easier than others. Some of the ones I thought would be easy. I think it just depends on what you think of when you think of a movie too. So
yeah. I've gotten got once or twice. Like as far as ones I've
yeah.
missed.
Yeah, I mean, it rarely happens. Usually, after you think about it for a little while, you get it.
I don't know. I gotta think on my record. I gotta look back at how many episodes it's been since we started, and like put a whiteboard up and like mark them off.
Like around the horn. A couple of movies that opened the first week in August when we weren't here. I saw One Night Only. This is basically what if The Purge, only as a sex comedy with Monica Barbaro and Callum Turner. I'm just going to be honest. I liked this a lot more than I was expecting, giving this one a thumbs up. It was a fun date night movie. They have some funny observations about the world and about jobs. I liked the chemistry back and forth. I know people can point out logical holes. We are talking about a sex comedy based on The Purge. So you can miss me with we needed to have some airtight logic. There are some commentary, meta commentary they're trying to make about dating, about relationships, about the world, about connections, about advertising in particular that made me laugh. I thought these two were having fun. I had fun with it. My wife and I had fun. It was a good date night movie. Eli Roth came out with his latest Ice Cream Man, kind of going back to maybe a little bit of hardcore horror roots. Some people thought this was going to be a remake of the Ice Cream Man film that starred Clint Howard from before. It is not. This is a different kind of thing, an original story Roth worked on. I'm also going to say Eli Roth, who appears as a kind of important actor in the film, gives the best performance in the film. Make of that what you will. The villain is Ari Millen, pictured here, who is that titular Ice Cream Man. There were some interesting moments. I thought it was an interesting idea. It is 86 minutes, so it's not taking a long time. There is some savage violence, which you would definitely have expected when I told you the name Eli Roth was involved. I don't think it all comes together. I did not think the young actors were that good. And since you have to really rely on them, that is a bit of a bummer. Ari Millen looks very menacing as the Ice Cream Man, but he doesn't say a lot. He's mostly driving around following them with a truck and a creepy jingle. It's, I can't remember what is it's a little bit like a Pied Piper kind of version of horror films. I didn't think it was bad, but I'm going to give this one a mild thumbs down. I just like, if you don't really care about the people who are in peril or suffering savage violence, it's then an exercise in just sitting through savage violence. And I'll be honest, the only time that I really chuckled or thought it was great was when Eli Roth, the actor, was on camera, because he gets to make some very flippant comments about the world and things like that as humor that I like. But if you want something that's going to be the complete polar opposite of Ice Cream Man, that would be the limited release documentary Cookie Queens, which it comes from director Alyssa Namias. I don't know. I hope I pronounced that correctly, but it's following a quartet of different Girl Scouts during Girl Scout cookie season, the way that they try to sell, the way that they get into it, girls of different ages, different backgrounds in different areas. You can see the main focus of them, the four kind of on this poster here. I thought it was charming. I thought it was fascinating. We all are familiar with that, spring rite of passage. I felt bad for some of the put upon parents who have to put up the money for this ambitious cookie project and then have to spend their weekends hustling alongside their kids trying to sell this off so they don't go into debt. That was kind of amazing. There was a lot of interesting things. I thought it ended up being a pretty good time. So those are some of the catch-up ones that I saw that are coming out in August. We're going to talk about another big release that we both saw here together, but is there any other things you want to shout out or shout down?
I saw a 2014 movie called The Road Within. Robert Sheehan, Dev Patel, Zoe Kravitz, they're all great actors. And all the emotional drama in an indie road trip film, they nail the performances. Like the close-ups, the emotions, the acting is great. But Robert Sheehan plays someone with Tourette's syndrome, and he is kicking and cursing and flying out and playing it for sincerity, but also playing it a little bit for the indie comedy humor that you would get because you like make fun of life. Dev Patel has OCD, and he's playing it with the obsessivism and screaming of like everything's not right. It has to be right. Like we're driving on the road. I heard a bump. It has to have been a body. It has to have been a pregnant woman. She must have had a baby. I killed him. And they're like, no, it was a pothole. Like, and they have to show him that it was a pothole. He can't keep going. And Zoe Kravitz, there's a lot of like interpersonal stuff that could have been explored that isn't. Like they kind of like her anorexia. Like there's a lot of Dev Patel telling Robert Sheehan that Zoe Kravitz is going to disappoint him or upset him. So if you want to go back to 2014, it's on Netflix. You will see some actors do some great things. I am not sure if they actually did, like, what kind of homework they did to represent the different disorders that they're supposed to have. But what should be a charming indie comedy is like, ooh, that didn't hit right. Wow, that was surprisingly emotional. Hey, I thought that romance was going to go somewhere and it didn't.
Well,
have fun. Yeah, no. So
sometimes it happens that way, unfortunately. Doesn't go. Is this one that you had heard about that you were looking forward to seeing, or just one that you ended up catching?
Sometimes, I mean, like what you do infamously, and like my new life, like having moved, is slowly giving me the opportunity to do like little things. On all streaming services that people have, randomly you'll add something to your list, but not watch it, like put it on a shelf, right? I don't know when I added this to my list. I was just scrolling through one night looking for something to watch that I could watch without my wife. And I was like, what is this? And so I just started, and it was like an hour and 30 minutes or something like that. Like if you cut the credits off. So I was like, okay. And I watched it and it was like easy. Like, it was fine. It's just like, okay, that's off my list now.
Well, the episode that we were going to have, if one of us had remembered to get internet in time, would have been to talk about the last big blockbuster of July and probably one of the biggest blockbusters of summer, and that is Spider-Man Brand New Day. It is entering its third full weekend in release. It has been a revelation. It was the latest. Tom Holland won his fourth outing as Spider-Man, first one directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, moving on and replacing John Watts. We had Zendaya and Jacob Batalon back from the previous films. You add in John Bernthal's Punisher, Sadie Sink in a new Marvel character that we get, Liza Colon-Zayas as Detective DeWolf, who becomes kind of his confidant. And we get Florence Pugh popping up as Yelena, Tramell Tillman as kind of a nefarious guy running an office that certainly gave me Severance vibes, and the emotional support, Mark Ruffalo as Dr. Bruce Banner. So, Spider-Man Brand New Day, I'm not going to belabor it. I give it 2 thumbs up. I'll be curious. We will talk about where it sits for each of us among Spider-Man rankings here in a minute, but I believe you really enjoyed the heck out of it as well.
Oh my gosh. 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 I'm not gonna overdo like a long ramble on this. Give Destin Daniel Cretton the keys to the MCU, because he knows how to have the characters live in each other's movies and actually make it feel like the characters are like representing their individual sort of icons and purposes, and there's like a reason for them to support each other. They never felt like cameos to me. Well, that's a lie. Yelena kind of felt like a cameo. It felt kind of like campy and funny, like that's what they were doing. But still, just like when Yelena showed up in Hawkeye, she kind of comes in and plays around and spins some things on their head. Like she always serves some kind of plot purpose. And so I totally give it a pass. Also, I thought it was super, like the movie includes moments that are emotional, but also Spider-Man gets bored sitting in a tub and will poke his feet up out of the water, because we all do that. Like it's man, it was so great. It was so human. I am very interested in what they're doing with Jean Grey, and I would need a long time to talk about why. Because
Yeah.
that's a character that I've realized because of this movie, who has been defined so much in media by her relationships to Xavier, to Scott, to people, that when she's on her own and they give her this new origin and a sister and all this kind of stuff, they make some choices about how her character's starting and her attitude on the world around her, and it sets her up to be one of the more compelling characters, more like a Loki, or like, this is like an extremely off example, but like a Jaime Lannister type of thing. Like not necessarily set up for a redemption arc, but like she's damaged in a way that you can already see how they would earn something like a Dark Phoenix arc, as long as they don't try and make a third full-on Dark Phoenix movie.
Well, and they did yesterday
Yeah.
just announce the new X-Men
The
cast.
X-Men. Yes.
And I noticed no Wolverine. So
I hope no Wolverine. I hope no Wolverine, because
I think it's going to end up being Hugh Jackman. As Deadpool says, going to play it till you're 90.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
And also Hugh Jackman has made some public comments about like he just wants to build a body of work as long as he can, and then the next actor can do what they want to do. I'm kind of on board with that, because I think every time Wolverine's been involved since the 2000, he's kind of eclipsed everything else. And like, I don't want to see another movie where, because they're focused on Wolverine as a POV character, they underdevelop Jean Grey or Cyclops or people like that, you know? So I'm kind of rooting for no Wolverine casting.
I know, but it was an odd set of
mutants. Yeah.
That they unveiled, and probably arguably the most interesting casting is getting Adam Driver, but he's going to be a villain that's not Magneto.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing, no Magneto. That
they've been trying to get Adam Driver to be in the MCU for so long. I think the way they probably pitched him Magneto, but he probably picked Mr. Sinister instead, because that's more of a one-off villain who could come back. So he's not locked into a contract for years where he can't make the movies he wants to make. So that's probably how they got him. Here's a ton of money. Maybe the contract is only 2 or 3 movies. Like,
and Christopher Abbott as Professor X. I thought that was interesting.
Wild.
I'm not really that familiar with Kit Connor. Samara Weaving, who would be pretty famous playing Emma Frost.
Perfect.
Indy Navarrete as Rogue. interesting.
Totally off board with that. I don't know why.
Yeah, especially they were talking about a whole bunch of different options, and that feels weird.
Yeah.
And I'm not really familiar with Maya Boyd, who is going to be playing Storm. So it's
No. Yeah, I
uh,
can't judge that one or Cyclops.
yeah. So and it's not that uncommon that you would be grabbing some younger, especially if you want to go
But
younger. But you didn't announce Magneto. Most people, Beast, you would have thought would be pretty foundational, is not in there. Iceman, Angel, I don't know.
Beast is not in there yet. One of the things that has obviously accidentally slipped, and I also need to go on a whole other rant, probably in a YouTube video, about being annoyed at sitting in Spider-Man Brand New Day and listening to the half-assed response when Jean Grey was revealed, because more than half the audience obviously already knew it was Jean Grey, because the internet can suck sometimes. Like, oh, it's a reveal, and everyone's like,
Well, also, most people have assumed that's what she was playing since they announced she was cast.
I know.
The real question is why they chose to drop it in Spider-Man where they did. No, I don't even the
that's
hiding
the thing.
It makes some
I was
sense.
surprised by X-Men's release date, because that means was it 2028, May 5th?
Yeah, 2028.
Okay.
But
so
I'm guessing
Panther 3 will come out before that.
Yeah.
Infamously, T'Challa and Storm are a couple.
Huh.
Captain Marvel 3 might come up before that. Rogue's origin story is she has her Anna Paquin powers, but then she touches Captain Marvel. That's why she can fly and do everything basically that she can do. So I think the Spider-Man thing was the beginning of dropping in the mutants that will come together under Professor X. But the thing is, we don't know what's going to happen with Doomsday and Secret Wars, so I think everything's going to be different.
I thought it was going to be impossible to follow up on Patrick Stewart, but James McAvoy, I think, does a very good job. But nothing I've seen from Christopher Abbott.
Yeah,
felt like a weird choice, and I know Indy Navarrete is like super hot right now. You can miss me with she's gonna get Best Actress at the Academy Awards.
We know she's not. Yeah,
I don't even think she wouldn't be in the 5 for me. If you were running her in support, I think it would be easier. But saying lead, she has some creepy moments. I'm not quite on the obsession train with other people.
Pick an Anne Hathaway movie from this year, because it's going to be Anne Hathaway.
I actually think, first of all, it would be Mother Mary. I know people are on the Odyssey. Not enough people saw Mother Mary. But I think Michaela Cole from Mother Mary or Zendaya in the drama would be a little bit higher than any of those. But I don't know. There's going to be so many options, and we haven't even gotten, Renata Reinsler is going to be in an Oscar bait movie coming out this fall. We still have a lot of things coming out in the fall.
Well, so here's the thing that makes me kind of cautiously excited is Christopher Abbott and Indy Navarrete don't make sense to me if they're trying to do what the MCU has been doing, which is make it look like the comics come to life and cast more along those lines. But this does feel to me like Chris Hemsworth, not very known actor. Chris Evans was Human Torch, but those movies tanked. Like, he was not a big actor, Like, they're picking people that could be financially profitable, but are not otherwise known for something. It feels very early MCU casting. I don't think they really. Ryan Gosling as Ghost Rider is like the biggest actor to role thing they've done in a long time. But the game 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon has been absolutely obliterated because he was in Hollow Man with Josh Brolin. So you just go Endgame, everyone so. And if he shows up in Secret Wars, everyone else. So,
well, he was in Infinity War too, and
yeah.
Oh.
So yeah,
where
actors, yeah.
where does this? There have been. We will exclude the animated ones for now. There have been 9 live-action Spider-Man films since 2002, which is quite a few for 25 years.
Mhm.
We've seen 3 different people inhabit the role over that time.
Mhm.
4 from Holland, 3 from Tobey Maguire, R.I.P. Andrew Garfield's 2. So how would you rank them, and where does Brand New Day fall for you?
It's hard because what I like about different movies, but I'm not going to beat around the bush. Uh, the 2 animated movies for Craft alone, and then The Surprising Emotion, like we're not talking about them, but they would be above it. But I have to adjust this obviously as time goes on, but Brand New Day is my top. It's shot right to the top. I even concede Andrew Garfield, I think always would have been the perfect adaptation from comics of Spider-Man, but Tom Holland is like Hugh Jackman was never right for the comics, but he is Wolverine. Tom Holland is Spider-Man. Like fully conceded. Like that's yeah.
Mhm. So, for me, I did binge watch the week it came out where I had the 8 previous ones ranked. And I had, Amazing Spider-Man 2 at the bottom, followed by The Amazing Spider-Man. And great cast, but not great. Spider-Man 3, which I think is more watchable than people remember. If you buy the online packs, there is an editor's cut of Spider-Man 3 that I think tightens some things up.
You saw it.
I
Yeah.
did see
Okay.
it, and I thought it
Yeah.
was better.
Yeah.
Then Spider-Man 2002, which from this point on, I'm going to say they're all 4-star or above for me, which talks about how I think the Spider-Man movies are among the better comic book movies. That original 2002 Spider-Man is always going to have a soft spot in my heart. The fact that it's now 6th in this ranking is not because I think it's a bad film. It's just that's where we're at. Then
Yeah.
I would have Homecoming, which is Tom Holland's first one, which I think is fun. I like Michael Keaton as the villain. I like the Tony Stark stuff. Then Spider-Man 2, which was Tobey Maguire, probably the pinnacle of the Sam Raimi ones with Alfred Molina. And there's a special director's cut of that one that I enjoyed, that I thought was even better because I watched
Yeah.
a lot of them
Yeah.
going through. Then number 3 for me is Far From Home, which from here on out, 4.5 stars for me and above. Some of my favorite MCU movies. All of these next 3 are top 10 MCU movies for me and are among the top. Far From Home was put in an impossible position of being the movie after Endgame. And you're like, oh my God, they've screwed these people. And yet, really fun story with Jake Gyllenhaal. Really fun giving Zendaya's MJ more of a central role. Really fun Europe, mixing comedy and things. Then number 2 for me would be Brand New Day. And I know there are some people that have said that's the worst of Tom Holland's movies, or it did not work for them. They did not connect with it.
Wait.
There
Brand
are
New Day's the new one.
This is the new one. Yeah, there are a lot of
People are saying that it's the worst.
Tom Holland's movies. Yeah, there are a lot of people that did not vibe quite the same for them. It's been wildly popular. I went to go look it up. Heading into this weekend, it is already number 10 in all-time worldwide box office with $1.733 billion. It probably
Yeah.
will easily overtake Zootopia 2. It will probably overtake No Way Home. I would
I
not
think
even
it's
be
got a shot
surprised
at
if it
dethroning
overtakes
Avatar 2.
in The Way of Water. Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's
that was only
2.3.
2.7 billion.
No, The Way of Water is 2.3 billion.
2.3?
Endgame
Okay.
is 2.79 billion, and Avatar is 2.93 billion. Those are the top 3. But yeah, I mean, if it gets up to past
Oh, that's
Avatar,
right.
Way of
Avatar
Water,
got the
it'll end up
re-release money.
third of all time. Yeah, Avatar got it.
Yeah.
They keep re-releasing them every time there's a new one.
Yeah.
But it's going to be in rare air. I think we all think it's going to pass $2 billion. It may pass $2 billion this weekend. It may have already done it as we're speaking.
Yeah.
But that's number 2 for me. And then number 1 is No Way Home. That movie not only it does such a beautiful job of paying homage to the entire kind of live action big screen history of Spider-Man, bringing those three together, bringing all their villains back together. It it makes up for, like, not only did I think Amazing Spider-Man 2 was a creative misfire despite the cast, it ends Garfield's run on such a dour note of failure, and the way that probably was one of the most surprisingly emotional moments in No Way Home. And when they give him that redemption, you have some fun things with Tobey Maguire and some redemption with those villains, and but the emotional gut punch too of the end of No Way Home and the sacrifice Peter has to make and the ending of that movie, and you carry a lot of those emotions forward into Brand New Day, and that is one of the things I love about Brand New Day, but it doesn't work without the execution that you got in No Way Home. But I think that movie was important in other ways. You know, coming out in December of 2021, the world was finally kind of emerging from a very difficult and dark place, and we hadn't been able to gather and go to the movies, and it was such a communal experience. You know, a lot of people talk about that was the year Marvel came back with 4 releases, and I thought all of them had, you know, I enjoyed Black Widow, I didn't mind the Eternals, I actually enjoyed
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi, but No Way Home was the best. And for me, it is a top 5 MCU movie. It is one of my favorite MCU movies of all time. I think it is just incredible, and rewatching again still feel that way. But Brand New Day, I loved it. You know, it's top 5 for me this year. I gave it 4.5 stars. I know some people haven't resonated. I've heard some backlash and some frustration about the Jean Grey of it all, and you know, about
We
the
need to
punish,
talk.
you know, the way they brought in the Punisher and neutered the Punisher. Look, they were not trying to make a hard R film, and I think that fundamentally mistakes the arc that they had him on. I thought all those things worked, but there are some people that for whom it did not work, and I don't think anyone's hated it. But I've heard from more than one critic or things that I've listened to where they talk about it being the least successful of the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, and I don't feel that way. You know, it was kind of pulling teeth for me between it and Far From Home, because I really love Far From Home more than some other people. That is another one that I think really hit at a time where it had in tremendous stakes, and it was like, I see your tremendous stakes, and I'm going to top them.
All of his movies. Homecoming.
Yeah.
How is Marvel going to prove this is the definitive Spider-Man? Far From Home. How are we going to put a stamp on the whole saga and follow up Endgame? No Way Home. How are we going to shoot this movie during COVID, rewriting it constantly through the whole thing, and deliver something that brings people back to theaters and saves the MCU? Like,
well, and also delivering on just a monumental cliffhanger at the end of Far From Home, where you know Peter's happy, MJ knows who he is, they're swinging through downtown, and it's like Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Mysterio is my favorite Spider-Man villain. And
yeah, no,
they did really well with him.
Really well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, it's been a good stretch here for movies. A lot of catch up this week. Next week, we'll be back. We're at least going to talk about The Magic Faraway Tree and Tony. You know, I may see the new Insidious, because insidiously they keep putting them in our path.
I'm not gonna see it. I saw the last Insidious because they tied it back to the first two,
and I actually don't think it's too bad. That one,
it's not.
When I was doing the Insidious rankings for Binge Watch, which are coming this week, I forgot how low a bar there was for that one. It's so really low we could practically step over it.
Yes, 100% it is, especially with 3 and 4. But like, Ty Sheridan, no, am I saying the right? Ty Simpkins.
Yeah. One of those.
Dude, I love him. As a child actor, he's been incredible. The Nice Guys, Iron Man 3, like all the stuff that he's done, he's been awesome. To see him become an adult and have to take that step out of childhood acting into what am I going to do as an adult, I will be there for any movie he's in, because I'm so curious to see how he navigates fame and all this stuff. Because he's probably rich as hell, but he's not out here like in the news doing a bunch of controversial stuff, right? But you got that Iron Man 3 money, like, like I'm so curious to see what happens with his career.
Well, we have some interesting. It's kind of an interesting. There's a lot of releases in August. There are not a lot of like marquee releases. So next week and also Spa Weekend opens. I may get to see that, and I may go see Mutiny, which is the annual Jason Statham is mad at the world and going to kill a bunch of people. And then the week after that, Coyote versus Acme is finally out. I've already seen it, so we'll definitely talk about that. And The Dog Stars, which both of us are moderately excited about. I'm going to try to catch It Ends, which is another kind of indie horror movie. So we have some things coming. The Fall 2. Why are they making another or Fall 2?
That one did turn out to
Fall
sort
2.
of be a horror
Why are
cult
we making
classic.
another one?
Yeah.
I liked. Look,
I haven't seen
like is
it.
the wrong word because I am not good with heights, and that was not a good experience because it tapped into like a lot of internal trauma for me. Of course, I wouldn't be climbing something like that because I'm not an idiot. But so that wouldn't happen to me, but it was very unsettling. But I'm like, never once did I watch that thinking, you know what, this needs a sequel. And yet somehow that is like the only,
and it was cheap.
That weekend we may end up talking about The Runner because that's a Prime Video and an action movie with Gal Gadot that may be more exciting than Fall 2. And then the second week in September, I think Hope is coming out, which is kind of was a big festival release, a foreign language horror sci-fi film that has a little bit of Michael Fassbender and Alicia Vikander and Taylor Russell, but is mostly kind of a Korean sci-fi horror film. And of course, Practical Magic.
You're saying all kinds of stuff that's freaking me out. Like what? Okay, I'm gonna look it up later. Later.
Yeah.
Like, excuse me? Like, what?
Yeah, it was a Cannes Film Festival film that's coming out. So
okay.
A lot of stuff coming out. A lot of things coming out. A lot of fun things. But we will be back next week catching up. We will at least enjoy a little bit of magic at a faraway tree and a little bit of Anthony Bourdain. So
and Andrew Garfield carrying yet another movie that could possibly be mid for weird reasons.
Maybe that is where we go back and do the Andrew Garfield.
Yeah. Because we'll only have one movie, and then
we'll
you'll recap the ones you see.
We'll pick his top 5. Andrew Garfield's top 5.
Okay, I can do that. There's some I haven't seen, but I think the ones I haven't seen, I don't really.
Well, like it's your top 5.
Silence. I gotta watch Silence.
Silence. Martin Scorsese, Liam Neeson's in there.
Adam Driver. Yeah.
Adam Driver. Yeah. Yeah. I would not say
it's a remake too. It's a really weird,
and it's not an easy watch. So yeah. I feel like I'm punishing you this week, but we'll get there.
You think you're punishing me, but I'm gonna be like rolling in a bed of roses. Like I love, like it's
Now I will be trying to dodge Insidious. Eric will be rolling in a bed of roses, and we'll see you at the movies.